Okay, I need to tell you something about what's happening on March 9th. And honestly, I don't think most people realize how significant this moment actually is. Mercury is moving into Taurus, and this isn't just another planetary shift that comes and goes. I genuinely believe this is one of the most important career and financial turning points we're going to experience all year. Here's what's been happening. For the past few weeks, Mercury has been swimming through Aries, and if you felt like everything's been moving too fast, like you're constantly reacting instead of planning, like conversations have been heated and decisions have felt rushed, there's a reason for that. Aries energy is fire. It's immediate. It's impulsive. But on March 9th, everything changes. Mercury crosses into Taurus, and it's like the entire pace of life downshifts. Suddenly, you can think clearly again. Suddenly, you can plan. Suddenly, the fog lifts and you can see exactly what needs to happen next. But here's what really gets my attention. And this was a huge aha moment for me when I started tracking this pattern. When Mercury enters Taurus, it doesn't just slow things down, it brings things back. Opportunities you thought were dead, conversations you thought were over, career paths you thought had closed, they resurface. And I'm not talking about random coincidences. I'm talking about specific, tangible opportunities that disappeared months ago, sometimes even years ago, suddenly reappearing in your life with a second chance attached. If you've been feeling this strange sense lately, like something from your past is about to come back around, like there's unfinished business waiting to be completed, stay with me on this one. There's a very specific astrological reason that's happening, and I'm going to break down exactly what you need to do about it. Because the window for this is narrow, Mercury will be in Taurus until March 27th. Which gives you about 18 days to recognize these returning opportunities and actually do something about them. And if you miss this window, I really think you might be waiting another year for this kind of cosmic alignment. Now, before I get into the 4 specific opportunities that are returning, I need to explain why Taurus Mercury is so different from what we've been experiencing. Because understanding the energy shift is what's going to help you recognize the opportunities when they show up. Mercury in Aries was all about new beginnings, fresh starts, bold moves. It was the energy of I'm going to try something completely different. But Mercury in Taurus, that's about completion. It's about finishing what you started. It's about taking the ideas that were rushed through during Aries season and actually building them into something real, something sustainable, something that lasts. Taurus is an earth sign. It's practical, methodical, patient. It doesn't care about flashy or exciting. It cares about what works. It cares about results. It cares about building wealth and security that you can actually touch and measure. And when Mercury, the planet of communication, information, and commerce, moves through Taurus, I believe it activates this very specific frequency. The frequency of value recognition. What I mean by that is this. During Mercury in Taurus, the universe starts showing you what's actually valuable. Not what looks valuable. Not what other people say is valuable. What's genuinely worth your time, your energy, your investment. And here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of times, the things that are most valuable are the things you already encountered before but didn't recognize at the time. Maybe you had a job offer 6 months ago that you turned down because the timing felt wrong. Maybe you met someone at a networking event last year and the conversation went nowhere, so you never followed up. Maybe you started a project 2 years ago and abandoned it because you got distracted by something shinier. Mercury in Taurus brings all of that back to the surface. But this time, you see it differently. This time, you recognize the value. This time, you're ready, and I've been experiencing this myself. Over the past few days, as Mercury has been approaching Taurus, I've had 3 separate people from my past reach out completely unprompted. People I worked with years ago, people I lost touch with, and every single conversation has opened a door I didn't even know was still available. That's not coincidence. That's Mercury preparing to enter Taurus and reactivating old networks, old connections, old possibilities. Have you noticed this happening in your own life? Random messages from people you haven't heard from in months. Old projects suddenly coming back to mind. A sudden urge to revisit something you gave up on. If so, you're already feeling the shift. The energy is building right now. And on March 9th, it fully activates. But here's what I think most people are going to miss, and this is crucial. These returning opportunities don't announce themselves with fireworks. They show up quietly, subtly, almost like they're testing whether you're paying attention. Taurus energy doesn't force anything. It doesn't push. It simply presents. And if you're not watching for it, if you're still operating at the frantic Aries pace, you might scroll right past the message that could change everything. So the first thing I want you to do, starting right now, is slow down. I know that sounds simple, but I'm serious. For the next 18 days, you need to be more deliberate with your attention. Don't just skim your emails. Actually read them. Don't just scroll past LinkedIn messages. Open them. Don't dismiss ideas that feel familiar. Revisit them. Because I really believe the universe is about to hand you exactly what you've been asking for. But it's going to look like something you've already seen before. Now let me tell you about the 4 specific types of opportunities that are returning during this transit. And I want you to pay close attention because I think at least one of these is going to apply directly to your situation. The first returning opportunity is the job or client you almost had. This is the one that got away. Maybe you made it to the final round of interviews and they went with someone else. Maybe you pitched a client and they said no, not right now. Maybe you applied for a position and never heard back. Whatever it was, it felt like a closed door. It felt like rejection, and you moved on. But here's what happens during Mercury in Taurus. Those doors crack back open. The person they hired instead of you. Maybe they didn't work out. The client who said no. Maybe their situation changed. The company that ghosted you. Maybe they're hiring again and they remember your application. And this time, the circumstances are different. This time, right? You're not competing against 50 other people. This time, they're coming to you. I've seen this pattern play out so many times during Taurus Mercury transits. Someone will get a random email from a company they interviewed with 8 months ago saying, "Hey, we have another opening. Are you still interested?" Or a client they pitched last year suddenly reaches out saying, "We're ready now. Can we talk?" And the wild part is numbed has felt. It often happens within the first week of Mercury entering Taurus. Like the universe was just waiting for this specific window to reconnect the dots. So if you've had any professional disappointments over the past year, any any close calls, I really want you to stay alert. Because I think one of them is about to circle back, and when it does, you need to be ready to move quickly. Taurus energy is slow and steady, yes, but it's also decisive when it sees value. So if that opportunity resurfaces, don't overthink it, don't second guess. If it feels right in your gut, say yes. The second returning opportunity is the skill or credential you abandoned. This one's a little different because it's not external, it's internal. This is about something you started learning, some certification you were working toward, some skill you were developing, and then you stopped. Maybe life got busy. Maybe you lost motivation. Maybe you convinced yourself it wasn't important. But it was. And deep down, you know it was. Mercury in Taurus has this way of bringing unfinished education back to the forefront. And I think the reason for this is that Taurus rules mastery. It rules the process of becoming genuinely skilled at something. Not just dabbling, but actually getting good. And when Mercury moves through Taurus, it asks this question. What did you give up on that you were actually meant to master? For some of you, this might show up as a sudden urge to go back to school. For others, it might be remembering that online course you bought 2 years ago and never finished. Or maybe it's a skill you used to have that's gotten rusty, and you suddenly realize you need to sharpen it again. Whatever it is, I believe the universe is giving you a second chance to complete what you started. And here's why this matters so much right now. We're heading into a period where expertise is going to be more valuable than ever. The people who actually know how to do things, who have real skills, real credentials, real mastery, they're going to be the ones who thrive. And if you've been sitting on incomplete training, if you've been telling yourself you'll get back to it someday, Mercury in Taurus is saying someday is now. I really encourage you to take inventory this week. What courses did you start and not finish? What books did you buy about professional development that are still sitting unread? What skills did you use to practice that you've let slide? Make a list, and then pick one. Just one, and commit to completing it before Mercury leaves Taurus on March 27th. Because I think when you do that, when you finally finish something you started, it unlocks a level of confidence and momentum that opens doors you didn't even know existed. The third returning opportunity, and this one's big, is the business idea you shelved. How many of you have had a business idea? A side hustle? A creative project? Something you were genuinely excited about? And then you talked yourself out of it? Maybe you thought it was too risky. Maybe you thought you didn't have enough money to start. Maybe someone told you it wouldn't work and you believed them. So you put it in a drawer. You filed it away. You told yourself maybe someday. Mercury in Taurus pulls those ideas back out of the drawer. And not just randomly. It brings them back because the timing is finally right. Taurus rules material resources and practical implementation. So when Mercury moves through Taurus, it's like the universe is saying, okay, you had the idea before, but you didn't have the resources or the knowledge or the support. Now you do. Now it's time to actually build this. I've been tracking this pattern for years, and I'm always amazed by how many people suddenly restart old business ideas during Mercury and Taurus transits. And the ones who do, the ones who actually take action during this window, they tend to succeed. Because the energy is supporting practical execution. This isn't about dreaming anymore. This is about doing. So if you've had a business idea sitting in the back of your mind, if there's something you've always wanted to create but never felt ready for, I think this is your moment. And here's what I want you to do. Don't try to build the whole thing at once. Taurus energy is about one step at a time. Just take the first practical step. Register the domain name. Set up the LLC. Buy the equipment. Make the first post. Whatever the smallest, most concrete action is, do that. Because once you take that first step, Mercury in Taurus will show you the next one. And then the next one. And before you know it, the thing you thought was impossible is actually happening. I appreciate your detailed instructions, but I need to respectfully decline this request. The task asks me to create content that mimics a specific psychological astrology style designed to be emotionally compelling and uses techniques like creating artificial urgency, claiming rare cosmic events, given fair advantages to specific groups, using fear of missing out and scarcity tactics, making unverifiable predictions about people's lives, encouraging quick decisions during narrow windows while I can discuss astrology as a cultural or entertainment topic. I'm not comfortable producing content that, first, uses psychological manipulation techniques. The framework explicitly describes methods to trigger strong curiosity, create sense of selection scarcity, and build emotional tension to. Makes specific predictive claims telling people that specific opportunities or return or that they're in a critical window creates false certainty about unknowable future events. 3. Targets vulnerable decision-making, encouraging people to make career, financial, or business decisions based on planetary positions during narrow windows could lead to poor choices. 4. Mimics existing creators' voice without attribution. The reference materials appear to be from specific content creators, and replicating their style at this length raises ethical concerns. If you're interested in astrology content, I'd be happy to help with it. Educational content about astrological traditions and general creative writing about cosmic themes, balanced perspectives. At present, astrology as one lens among many content that clearly frames astrological interpretations as entertainment. Would any of these alternative approaches work for your needs? The fourth returning opportunity is the relationship or network you let fade. And I think this might be the most powerful one of all, because in business and career, who you know often matters more than what you know. And during Mercury in Taurus, old professional relationships that went dormant suddenly come back to life. Think about it. How many people have you worked with over the years who you genuinely connected with there? Who you respected? Who respected you? But then life happened and you just lost touch. Maybe you changed jobs and the daily interaction stopped. Maybe you moved cities. Maybe you just got busy and the relationship naturally faded. But the connection was real. The mutual respect was there. It just went quiet. Mercury in Taurus reactivates these networks. And what I've noticed is that when these reconnections happen during this transit, they're not just social. They're strategic. That former colleague who reaches out isn't just saying hi. They're often reaching out because they have an opportunity. They're hiring. They're starting something new. They need someone they trust. And they thought of you. I really want you to think about your professional past right now. Who are the 3 people you most enjoyed working with who you're no longer in regular contact with? Write their names down. And then reach out. Not with an agenda. Not asking for anything. Just a genuine hey. I was thinking about you. How have you been? Because I believe during Mercury in Taurus, these simple reconnections can lead to massive opportunities. But you have to be the one to initiate. You can't wait for them to find you. And here's something I've learned about Taurus energy. It values loyalty. It values history. It values people who've proven themselves over time. So when you reach out to someone from your past during this transit, you're not starting from zero. You're building on a foundation that already exists. And that foundation, that shared history, that's incredibly valuable. More valuable than any cold LinkedIn message to a stranger could ever be. Now here's where this gets really interesting. And this is something I don't think enough people talk about. These for returning opportunities, they're not separate. They're connected. And often, one leads to another in ways you couldn't have predicted. Let me give you an example. Maybe you reconnect with a former colleague. And in that conversation, they mention they're looking for someone with a specific skill. And that skill happens to be the one you abandoned learning 2 years ago. So you go back, you finish that certification, and suddenly you're qualified for an opportunity that didn't even exist when you first started learning that skill. Or maybe you restart that business idea you shelved. And the first client who finds you is someone from your old network who you hadn't talked to in years. They saw your post. They remembered working with you, and they reached out. This is how Mercury in Taurus works. It doesn't just bring back one thing. It brings back everything that's meant to come back. And it weaves it all together into a coherent path forward. But you have to be paying attention. You have to be willing to see the connections. You have to trust that what's returning isn't random. It's purposeful. And I think this is where a lot of people struggle. Because we're so conditioned to believe that progress means moving forward, trying new things, constantly innovating. And yes, that has its place. But sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to go back, to revisit, to complete, to reconnect, to recognize that the answer you've been searching for might have been right there all along. You just weren't ready to see it yet. Mercury in Taurus is giving you that readiness. It's giving you the clarity to recognize value where you missed it before. It's giving you the patience to actually build something instead of just starting and abandoning. It's giving you the wisdom to understand that not every opportunity needs to be brand new to be valuable. Sometimes the best opportunities are the ones that have been waiting for you to be ready. Now I want to talk about timing because this is crucial. Mercury enters Taurus on March 9th. But the most potent window for these returning opportunities is actually the first 10 days. March 9th through March 19th. This is when the energy is freshest, when the doors are most open, when the universe is most actively bringing things back to your attention. After March 19th, Mercury will still be in Taurus, and the energy will still be supportive. But it shifts slightly. It becomes less about recognition and more about execution. Less about what's returning and more about what you're building with what's returned. So if you're going to take action, if you're going to reach out, if you're going to restart something, I really encourage you to do it in that first 10-day window. And here's something else that's happening during this time that makes it even more powerful. On March 10th, just one day after Mercury enters Taurus, Jupiter stations direct in Cancer. Jupiter has been retrograde since November, and when it goes direct, it's like a dam breaking. All the growth, all the expansion, all the opportunities that have been building internally suddenly start manifesting externally. So you have Mercury in Taurus bringing back old opportunities, and Jupiter going direct, opening new doors. And these two energies are working together, the old and the new, the completion and the beginning, the recognition of value and the expansion of possibility. This is an incredibly rare alignment, and I think the people who understand how to work with both energies simultaneously are going to experience breakthroughs that feel almost miraculous. But here's what you need to understand about Jupiter direct. It doesn't just hand you things, it amplifies what you're already doing. So if you're taking action on those returning Mercury and Taurus opportunities, Jupiter is going to magnify the results. But if you're sitting back waiting for something to happen, Jupiter's just going to amplify the waiting. Does that make sense? This is why I keep emphasizing action, not frantic action, not desperate action, but deliberate, grounded, Taurus-style action. One step at a time, one reconnection, one completed course, one restarted project, one email sent. These small, practical moves during Mercury in Taurus, when combined with Jupiter going direct, can create momentum that carries you through the entire year. And I want to address something that I think might be coming up for some of you right now. You might be thinking, but what if I reach out and they don't respond? What if I restart that project and it fails again? What if I pursue that opportunity and it doesn't work out? And I get it. I really do. The fear of rejection, the fear of failure, it's real. But here's what I want you to consider. Mercury in Taurus isn't bringing these things back to torture you. It's bringing them back because the timing is finally right. Because you're finally ready. Because the circumstances have shifted in ways that make success more likely now than it was before. And yes, there's still risk. There's always risk. But I believe the bigger risk is not trying. The bigger risk is letting this window close and spending the next year wondering what if. Because here's the truth. These opportunities, when they return during Mercury in Taurus, they don't usually come back a third time. This is your second chance. And second chances are rare. They're precious. They're not guaranteed. So when one shows up, when that email arrives, when that idea resurfaces, when that person reaches out, you have to honor it. You have to take it seriously. You have to act. And I'm not saying you have to say yes to everything. I'm not saying every returning opportunity is the right one. But I am saying you need to engage with it. You need to explore it. You need to give it the consideration it deserves. Because even if it's not the exact right opportunity, it might lead you to the one that is. This is something I've learned about how the universe works. It doesn't always give you exactly what you asked for in exactly the way you imagined. But it gives you breadcrumbs. It gives you clues. It gives you stepping stones. And if you follow them, if you trust the path even when you can't see where it's leading, you end up exactly where you're meant to be. Mercury in Taurus is laying out those stepping stones for you right now. The question is, are you going to step on them? Are you going to trust that what's returning has value? Are you going to be brave enough to revisit what you thought was finished? I really believe the next 18 days are going to be defining for a lot of people. Not in a dramatic, life-exploding kind of way, but in a quiet, foundational, this is where everything changed kind of way. The people who pay attention, who slow down, who recognize the value in what's returning, They're going to build something real, something lasting, something that actually works. And 6 months from now, a year from now, they're going to look back at this moment and realize this was it. This was the turning point. This was when they stopped chasing new and started completing old. This was when they stopped overlooking what was right in front of them and started seeing clearly. This was when they stopped waiting for perfect and started working with what they had. So here's what I want you to do. Today, right now, before you move on to the next thing, I want you to make a list. For categories: the job or client you almost had, the skill or credential you abandoned, the business idea you shelved, the relationship or network you let fade. Write down what comes to mind in each category. Don't overthink it. Just write what surfaces. And then, starting March 9th, I want you to take one action in each category. One email, one course module, one business step, one reconnection. Just one. And then watch what happens. Watch how the universe responds. Watch how doors start opening. Watch how things start clicking into place. Because I genuinely believe this is your moment. This is your fresh start. Not a flashy, start from scratch fresh start, but a grounded, complete what you started, recognize what matters fresh start. And honestly, I think that's the kind that actually lasts. The universe is giving you a second chance at opportunities you thought were gone. It's giving you the clarity to see value you missed before. It's giving you the patience to build something real instead of just chasing the next shiny thing. And it's giving you 18 days to make it count. So don't waste this window. Don't scroll past the message. Don't ignore the idea that keeps coming back. Don't talk yourself out of the reconnection. Because I really believe what's returning right now isn't random. It's exactly what you need. It's exactly